Rocks are not just fun to make, but also quite simple. Let me show you how. Welcome to Realm Painters. In today's video, I'll be showing you 2 ways to make rocks for basing your minis. As an example, here's my Skitarii Vanguard I made a few weeks ago. If you're interested in seeing a tutorial on it, it's linked in the description. And before we get into it, make sure you like and subscribe for future tutorials, and if you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. But back to rocks. Rocks can add a lot to a base, especially a large base. And since you'll be making them by yourself, you can add a lot of style to it. Now let's get into it, shall we? For the materials, you'll be needing clay, which I use polymer or air dry, an X-Acto knife, and a rock or tinfoil. So for this tutorial, I am using Sculpey, and I'm also using air dry clay. And along with that, an X-Acto knife, a rock, and tinfoil. So first off, I start with Sculpey by kneading it for a little bit, since it's usually harder clay. I then squish it into the table to get the base of the rock flat before carving into it. When carving, I try and create the basic shape of the rock by making angular cuts away from the center. Next, with my rock, I gently press into the clay to transfer the rock's texture onto the surface. If you have no textured rocks around, you can also use tinfoil. I recommend squishing it into a tight ball in order to get the desired texture. Now, with my air dry clay, I go through the same steps as the Sculpey. I carve it with my X-Acto knife before adding the rock or tinfoil texture. Personally, I prefer the rock since it gives it a more realistic look, but if you just can't find any textured rocks around, tinfoil also works. I recommend Sculpey over air dry clay because air dry clay tends to chip on the edges, whereas Sculpey is more durable and it shouldn't give you any problems. But if you do have air dry clay on hand, it will also work. You just have to be more careful with it. So here's my Sculpey rocks and here's my air clay rocks. Now to painting. After priming the clay black, I start with Eshin Gray. With my smallest dry brush, I heavily dry brush it onto all the rock surfaces. Then with Dawnstone, I do a lighter dry brushing all over the rock. Lastly, with Administratum Gray, I do the lightest dry brushing, making sure I catch all the edges. After that, your rocks are done. Don't they look dashing? And just like that, you became a rock professional. Not confusing a professional rock.
That's just a stupid boulder!
It's not just a boulder! It's a rock!
Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, just comment down below. And for next week, we'll be releasing a tutorial for dry brushing and stippling, so make sure you look out for that next week. And as always, I'll catch you in another realm.